Already.
All right, so any second we'll be live here.
I think I am live.
I'm eating dinner, my apple, so I'm turning my back.
Okay, it's live.
At the top of my head. Who are we missing? Roger? Can you hear me?
Roger, Michelle,
Is Michelle in town? I thought she was out of town.
I think she told me she would not be here tonight.
Yeah.
I thought she said she was going to try and join the meeting, even though she's working out of town. That's what
Okay.
she told me. So,
Oh, yeah, she did.
Cliff, I'll need about 7 to 8 minutes with my stuff tonight, please.
Okay. Well, there you are, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, I'm really good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. You still out of town?
Yep. Still in West Virginia.
Right.
Pardon me?
You're out of town, but you're here with us still, right?
Yes, I'm here with you 100%.
Technology is something, ain't it?
It sure is.
I just sent Roger a text to remind him it's at 5:30.
Okay.
I'm wondering if somebody might have been confused about that this evening.
Is Chad gonna be on tonight?
I hadn't heard anything any different.
Maybe texting Max.
I will.
Roger's responding.
Sherry, I'll try not to rustle my papers tonight.
There you go. Hit that mute. Hey, Roger said he can't get on Zoom. He's still trying.
Okay, there's Chad.
I know he had it because he sent it to me, but I had the hardest time finding it to get back on.
There have been some in council who would like to go into executive session, and we'll do that after or at the end of the committee meeting. And Roger had requested that. And we'll wait till he gets here. Or we'll move on if it's too long.
Cliff, your house looks nice.
You came by and saw it, huh?
Yeah, I drive by it every day.
But tell him there's another brother in the White House.
That's right.
Took them a while to get it, but they got it.
Right.
Well, I've got 2 minutes after 5:30. I got 5:32. Anybody? Okay, there's Roger. How you doing, Roger?
I'll let it go at that.
Okay, just testing your mic there, see if you're on. Everybody's here? Looks like it. Well, welcome to our meeting for our committee meeting. Today's the 13th of October, 2020. And Got a lot of business to cover tonight. Glad you all can make it. Glad wherever you are, I hope you're safe and healthy. And we'll continue to take care of the business set before us. So we want to go ahead and open up with the administration, and we'll just go right down the line there.
Well, I guess I'll say happy Tuesday. I always say happy Monday. I would like to, I think the hot button topic and the big issue is what is on the agenda for exploring a police department. Police chief prepared a statement today, and I wish I was, bigger into politics and had my own speech writers, but this definitely comes straight from my heart, and just a little feedback. After talking to every council member individually last week, I've come up with a statement here. I've made the decision to explore the creation of a police department for the city of Coshocton. This decision is not a personal, political, or a decision out of any type of spite. The two main reasons are accountability, dealing with our current contract with the Coshocton County Sheriff's Department that will cost the city taxpayers right under $2.1 million in the calendar year of 2021. The second reason is the uncertainty of the amount of the renewal for the contract, which expires December 31st, 2021. Many residents have talked about the police department of the past. The majority of our community is ready for a new era in Coshocton, and I think a police department should be explored, and if determined to be fiscally possible, we can start talking about 40 years from now instead of 40 years ago. The greatest part of my position is being a catalyst for change. The hardest part is the resistance of such change. In life, we control our own destiny. In government, we control the destiny of a whole community. I would like to tonight for you guys to vote to not add the ordinances or resolutions that have to do with the police department. After meeting with county officials earlier today and agreeing to work closely together on this project, I have agreed to reconfigure positions and not hire a police chief at this time. I would propose an assistant safety service director or splitting safety and service director position altogether. We can speak further on this in the future. I would like to also mention that this is not an overnight project. This project is probably a 2 to 3 year project. And I appreciate the men and women who wear a badge, not only in our county, but across. Please, if you're employed by our sheriff's office, know that you will be kept in the loop and communicated with, and will have the first opportunity to be employed by our department if it ever comes to fruition. And that is my statement about this. We definitely need discussion. Any questions that you guys have for me or for Max or for Jeff, we work together daily in this office to make this community better. So if there's any questions you have for me, I'm definitely ready. Fire away.
So, Mr. Mayor, you're saying you want to take off 5420 ordinance establishing the chief and a position with the city, and take off 6-20 resolution of the city of Coshocton authorizing the establishment of a department. You want, it's not on the agenda, but we don't need to vote on that then, right?
Right, right. I just want it taken off the agenda. I think we need to talk more about it. I think I look forward to working with ordinance committees. I look forward to working with safety committee. Really think it's time for council to shine, to come up with, it could be my brainchild, but I really, wish for council to be involved. It's a very, the whole topic is, tumultuous. I thought UTVs were big. The police department's definitely, my whole thing is I don't want to talk forever on it. I think, sometimes people, with me taking office this year, I think I move in another pace. I think sometimes maybe I move too fast. I want to explore creating a police department, but I also would like to do that in a way that you all agree with, because at the end of the day, I don't need your good graces to create a police department, but I do need your good graces to fund such said police department. So, what next steps really, want to get the committees of council involved. And, if we have to meet on, and I'm not telling you what to do at all, but if we have to meet on off weeks, really would like to, by the end of the year, have some kind of answers and what direction you all would like to see us go. I just, the time frame and the timeline is really where we're at and creating this. So if we're going to explore it, I want to explore it, and I want decisions made on it. As far as reasons why this came up, I gave you the 2 reasons. Really don't want to go into detail. I will if you ask me specific questions. I'm not here to run anyone down. I'm not here to tear anyone down. I'm not here to affect the lives of the officers that we have on the city payroll now. Would love to make it better, a better place to live and be in a better community. And I think being in control and having accountability of our own police department will definitely make this place a better place. So that's really, my efforts are not to make things worse. My efforts are to make things better. And I've got as many positive comments as I have negative comments on the subject. So I think people are excited. Change is hard, change is difficult. We all, that's the way it was, and it was horrible, and it was mismanaged, and that's why it was disbanded. So I want you all to know that you have someone in office, in this office, and all throughout these offices that care about our community. And instead of just abolishing something, we would fix that. And that's the way we all work together. So I look forward to, next steps. Cliff, if you want to direct them, city council, and my administration is my administration. So let's see how good we can work together. I mean, I think we did on the UTV. Maybe I was just getting you guys warmed up for something bigger and better. So I'm glad to answer any questions or next steps, what you would like to see, Cliff.
Yeah, I would ask that the safety committee and the ordinance committee and the finance committee come together and start looking at this and maybe see what direction, as far as a feasibility study, do we do that ourselves, or do we get someone to do that? Start talking in those kind of terms as to what's the best way to go about exploring possibilities. And that's what this would be, an exploration to find out if there's a need for there. Are your constituents asking for that? What is the other situations that may be coming up that we need a police department? So exploration, I think, is something that we can take a look at. So those 3 committees, if you could come together and take some time to get with the administration and find out what direction he wants to go. I think everyone got a copy of the pamphlet I sent to you. Did everyone get that? Email?
Yes.
That's a help. That helped me out to look at the breadth and the width of this thing, what it's going to take.
Cliff, I still did not receive it. I'm not sure if I need to maybe stop in and pick up a copy even or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Michelle, I've got a couple of hard copies printed off if you'd like one if you stop in here,
Okay.
drop it off
Yep.
over at the shop.
I'm out of town till Thursday, but I'll pop in when I get back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Matt.
Yep.
So if anybody wants to have a comment, the mayor has given a verbal proposal on establishing a police department, and that's what this would be about, establishing that. So are there any things that you want to discuss or questions?
Yeah, I agree that we need some type of feasibility study. I know when I talked to the mayor about this, I'd just like to see some pros and cons and what our costs are going to be. I know I told Mark that I would support discussion about a new police department, but I want to know where the community stands. But I want to know what's going to cost us. It's going to be close to what we're paying the sheriff's department? Is it going to be more? How many officers we need? How many cars we need, et cetera. I just think there's a lot more to it. And when I started getting calls last Thursday about this situation, it kind of shocked me because I was under understanding we want to keep this kind of close to the vest until we could have a committee meeting and discuss it. So I was surprised when the word got out and I started getting hammered with phone calls. I guess my other question, Mayor, would be, you're talking about maybe splitting the safety service director into a service director and a safety director.
Yes. Yep.
Would the code inspector's job fall under the safety director job, or would that be something separate?
I mean, to me, it's how do you want it funded? And, you know, if you want to fill that position, that's fine. I will fill that position. You know, financially, I was talking to Sherry earlier, and we just have to come together and agree to, you know, here's how this is going to be funded and here's the cost of it. I would like to see, and if we moved, the one thing that I see, if we created a police department, and on the accountability bit, if we created our own police department, we would be in control of more of our local ordinance, things that you guys talk about, like a lot, like all the time, the things that you see and our residents see, there would be no excuse on why that wouldn't get done through our PD. But we would have to see what type of, you know, what's the strain and how things are going to work. At this moment right now, I would say we would probably fill the code position just because we could still focus on code. And I think we've made strides and cleaning things up. I think we have a long way to go, but I think that filling that position, you know, maybe even looking in a part-time direction. I mean, whatever you guys suggest, I'm always open for discussion, but I really think that position needs to be filled and definitely needs to continue in the direction that it is right now.
And I guess my other comment, and then I'll shut up, let everybody else talk, believe it or not. Looking at the salary grid, I guess kind of jumped out at me that that job was going to go up $3,500 after 2 months.
It was I kind of wanted to keep it on the same as the utilities director position. It can be 60,000 starting in the beginning of the year. You know, I think anything's up for negotiation. I don't think that it's a hard, like, that has to be that amount. I agree. I just kind of set it up. The utilities director started a little, you know, further back in the year. That's kind of what I based it on. And I don't think that's a make or break deal. I agree with only having a couple months left, but I don't, honestly, I think passion for that position will outweigh any dollar amount. So I don't think that that's the intention. I think that when you have 40 plus years in law enforcement, the person that is in consideration for that position, I don't think it's about money.
Yeah, Mayor, I appreciate your passion, but I do want to be real. We'll have to pay our bills with money. If they could take passion, I'd pay all mine off tomorrow. I got a lot of that. But I understand what you're saying. It's something that we have to deeply look at and come up with a plan as to how to fund it. Because the bottom line is the citizens of Coshocton are going to have to deal with this. And how are we going to fund it to where they can deal with it?
Right. And I think with that said, Cliff, I think the people will actually be funding accountability for the first time in 40 years. I think they'll be funding their own destiny and their own accountability. So I think when you look at it, I think, yes, there's going to be an amount to spend. I don't want, any further taxes at this point. I don't want to spend more than what we're spending now, but I want something where we can eradicate drug issues, where we can eradicate, just the minor things that we've let go on here over the years, driving however you want to drive, parking however you want to park. It's time to regain control of our community. And that's what this is about more than anything, is that it's just time to be in control of our own destiny and not have someone else accountable for our own destiny within the city of Coshocton.
Well, I would ask council or members, are you hearing things from your constituents in your ward regarding that?
Prior to this weekend, no.
Okay. Anybody else?
So Glenn, you weren't hearing any complaints from any of your constituents about anything?
About law enforcement? No, I was not. And I'd like to know where you have heard it.
Let's see here. So where do you want me to start at?
I thought we were going to do this offline, but go ahead.
Well, it's public record. There's really no, it's online, offline. I would like to do it offline, and I don't want to, once again, I would like to have a different conversation like offline, but I think, the biggest thing to me is when my office receives calls about traffic, noise, parking, even, getting paperwork served for property code. Jeff at one point sent papers down. Now he's actually serving papers himself. But when we get calls, when the dispatchers tell our residents that we only have two officers and they're busy and call City Hall, that's probably when you start considering going in another direction. I think a lot of days are times when we're very under policed, and that's all I'm going to say on Zoom and on YouTube tonight. I think we can enforce everything that we talk about, like parking the wrong way and things like that. Those are things that everything you guys want and ask for, that's what a police department can do for us. So I don't know where the cloudiness is, but if we want to control things and everything that's been talked about and people call and say, we can be in charge of that. Like, that's kind of why I want the creation. When people call me and tell me that they called the sheriff and the sheriff never showed up for a call or never called, it's time to do something. So I know a lot of people have had experiences. I was on the phone a couple days ago with a gentleman. His grandparents' house was broke into twice in a winter. They lived out of state. Like, come on. Like, I just, it's time for a change.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a suggestion to you. I know you've appointed 3 committees to take a look at that. Well, I would assume that's basically all of council,
Yeah.
which means the committee meetings are going to have to be on Zoom rather than in person. Whereas perhaps if you just appointed the chairperson of each one of those 3 committees, perhaps an in-person subcommittee or committee meeting could be held where the mayor and Max and Jeff, who've run a lot of numbers, can be discussed, paperwork can be exchanged, and then those committee chairs can report back to their committees. And maybe we can then move forward that way. I mean, obviously, this is council's decision and of course the president's decision. But, if you're going to appoint all of council to look at this, then basically we're stuck doing Zoom meetings,
Well,
which means this is all going to be public.
I agree with you. The
Right.
chair should respond
Again,
to the meeting with the minutes. I would agree with that.
and once again, I would like to stay out of specifics like other committee heads, but I think everyone probably has their own story. And I'm not trying to bring the sheriff's department down. They have done great drug interdiction work, but I think a lot of their focus has been in that arena. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but we have instances where we definitely could improve our police protection. And that's what I'm saying. I don't want this to get out of control to where I'm out to get them. That is not the case.
I just want everyone to realize, having spent 25 years with New York PD, police departments aren't the panacea for solving all the problems that communities have. And with the climate being what it is, and I'm for engaging and talking, finding out what's best for our city. I'm all for that. But that isn't going to solve all of our problems. Until a person's heart changes and his mind changes, you don't keep doing the same thing.
No, and I agree. And, in talking with Sheriff Rogers, the economy has killed, the economy has fueled our drug epidemic. We're no different than any other area. The only thing that's different is we are not in control of taking care of the problem. So we are definitely an exception to the rule. We are one city and 88 counties who contracts with the county sheriff. There may be one.
There's
other.
one.
So if it works good, Glenn, if this works good, why are we the only people doing this? That is my question.
That's a good question for the group to find out why that is. And we appointed the chairs to do that.
Mark, I have a question.
Okay, Glenn.
I understand you've met with the sheriff's office and you've met with commissioners. What kind of feedback have you gotten from them to date?
We had a great conversation. I didn't meet with all the commissioners. Met with Commissioner Shryock, Jason Given, the county prosecutor, Bob, Max, Cliff, and the sheriff and Dean Hedinger. I think if we put this together and we work together, it could be seamless, and we could actually, I think there's just pros and cons, on both sides. There are pros and cons, and we have to weigh out the pros and cons, the city and the county commissioners. I can't say enough about the work that's being done in the county and the city. The city and the county working together, my office and the county commissioners. It's a very good team. I think more now than ever, we're making strides, and that's where I think that, it was just pros, cons. It's, it's just, we threw a lot of things around today, and, Jason Given, definitely appreciate Jason's input. He's not against change. If we can do this and we can make this better, we should all embrace it and make it better. Once again, like Cliff said, this is society everywhere, but we could sit and use that as an excuse, or we can say, hey, we're going to do something about this. And that's where I'm sitting at City Hall saying we're going to do something about this. And I just want you guys' help. And I think the county's on board. I think we can make this happen, and I look forward to making it happen.
Anybody else? Sherry?
couple things. I did want to point out, I grabbed my Open Meetings Act summary. If 3 members gather to discuss public business, it's considered a meeting, and Open Meetings Act would be required to open that to the public. So you're not, I don't believe you can have 3 committee heads
Yeah.
meet.
No, I agree. It's a public meeting. I was just saying it wouldn't be online.
Well, it could then, Bob, I was thinking it could be possibly go into executive session under security matters. I'll let you look into that. I looked at that to see if that's something, because it talks about if you discuss security, excuse me, I can't say it, security arrangements. I'm sorry. But I just wanted to make sure that you do know that is actually a public meeting. If you
No,
have,
I think it needs to be public. The only reason you could go into executive session is, in my reading of the various exceptions, would be for the appointment of a public official.
Yeah.
So in your discussion in a committee meeting, if you get to the point of talking about creating a safety director, at that point, you could go into executive session and talk about that in executive session. But when you are discussing the pros and cons of whether or not we should do this, in my mind, that is a public discussion that needs to be available to the public. If the press shows up, they show up.
And if 100 citizens show up, they show up.
Or if 100 citizens show up, then we're going to have to do above Zoom too. So
my other thing, I wanted to just touch on the finances real quick, because Mark had alluded to, the funding of another position, safety security. That safety security law enforcement fund, the 112 fund on your cash statement, it brings in about $1.6 million a year. And Mark told you our contract for next year is just going to be under 2.1 million. So that means our general fund is funding the remaining part of that contract. So whichever direction you decide to go, if you're going to create another position, I don't see where you really, you could take some out of that safety security law enforcement fund, but it's just going to reduce the amount you're going to have available to continue to pay for the contract, or the general fund's going to have to pay for it. Right now, the property code investigators being split between the general fund and the solid waste fund, because it's dealing with trash and so forth like that. So I can, justify it being taken out of there. Possibly we can continue to do that if going to have that, but still in the end, it's going to be more money out of the general fund. And like I said before, when we went to this contract, this 3-year contract, I said, in the end, it's going to keep costing our general fund more money to fund this contract. Because, the last 3 years, that safety security has stayed pretty steady at the 1.6, or just a smidge over 1.6. So just food for thought there.
Right. And with that sheriff's contract, we're at the tipping point of being able to say, hey, we can do this ourselves. So, this is not an overnight project. And that's why the biggest, other than accountability, we have to be prepared. If we get a new sheriff and they come in and want 2.5, 2.6, 2.8 million for police protection, guess what? We're not prepared for that. And why do we not want to be prepared for that? So that's why I see it as an actual project that we need to work on, because we need the future is what we need to look into. And that's one way we're preparing for that. So that's a big deal in my eyes. If we don't have the money to pay for a contract, our back's against the wall. So we're basically at CYA, and that's another huge area that we can do that.
And I'll just say for the record, in going on with this contract, this 3-year contract, I personally wasn't in favor of it getting over $2 million. $2 million in my mind was, the cap, keep, $500,000 that our general fund's going to support it, and the remaining out of that safety security. Because if you take out the safety security, I mean, right now we've done some upgrades, all of our cameras and so forth, but there's still work that, you want to continue to do. So if you're upping that contract even more or adding more for potential police department, there's only so much funding to go.
Yeah, I have 6 o'clock, folks. Is there any other?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want some clarification on the assistant safety director. So are you essentially saying that is in place of this police chief's position? Will they work with council on making those decisions and exploring it? Or is this something now totally separate?
No, this would be, just out of respect to the county and the meeting we had today, I look at it as a technicality. I mean, we have to have someone in place who can help us explore funding. You can't just call and say, I've dealt with the director of OPATA, the Attorney General's office, called and asked, like, hey, we want to start a police department up. We need someone in a position, and we need the actual, I'll call it a shell of a police department, so we can receive information to actually receive funding for startup of a police department. So at this point, you can't just call and say, hey, I'm Cherry Wilson, like, give me some money. So that's what this is all about. This is a process, and that's what I don't know. I think a lot of people, residents, number one, I don't think they realized, hey, we're paying the sheriff's department over $2 million a year. I think that's the kicker in. And like I always say, get involved, know the facts, be involved. You own your government. Let's go. It's time. Like, let's all get together and figure this out and work together to make this place a better place. You don't even have to leave your couch. So no, it's definitely.
So
It's basically not called a police chief. It'll be called a safety director.
Okay. So that's what will that person then in turn be the city's police chief, or will the council have, or we go through a hiring process for the police chief once the department is created?
Well, I never got, Kaylee, I'm like you, I never got a training manual for this job. So I believe, Bob, correct me or guide me. I think that I can appoint anyone I want as police chief. I think I would like to have you guys as good graces on that, because like, I don't want all the council saying like, yeah, we didn't want that person. But I think that I can appoint a police chief, and I don't need confirmation. I don't think it's like what's going on at the federal level now. But Bob, am I correct on that assumption?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, you can appoint a police chief.
Right.
But council needs to approve the job description, and they need to fund the position.
Right.
So if they want to stand in your way, that's how they would stand in your way. Basically, how I see this happening is, assuming council is, after a meeting in their committee meetings, decides they want to at least explore the possibility of a police department. You will need to either have a police chief in place or a safety director in place, who can then talk to the various agencies about receiving grant money and startup money. That's the purpose of the safety director. And if in his exploration he finds funds necessary to do this that convinces council you want to start a police department, then I would assume the mayor is going to come back to you and ask you to, just like he did here, to create a police chief and to fund that position. And then it would be up to him to appoint that position. Whether or not he then would ask you to replace the safety director would be up to him and up to you later on. But right now, all he's asking you to do, at least sometime in the future, is to consider creating a safety director position for purposes of exploration of the police department. All
Correct.
the other stuff would come later on if council decides, you know what, we need to do this.
How about the personnel issue? We can go to executive session on.
Well, again, he's not asking to appoint a safety director tonight. Correct, Mayor?
No, I mean, if you want to, let's roll with it.
I think what
Now-
he's probably going to ask is
My
after
line-
the discussion of the committee meeting is to put it on the agenda, assuming council wants to explore this, and then proceed with creating that position.
Roger, you have something?
How could you tell? I guess, I appreciate Mark taking those items off tonight's agenda. I wish we would have had the discussions that we're having tonight prior to those items being placed on the agenda. It would have made my weekend a lot quieter. It's hard to enjoy golf when I'm getting phone calls asking about us starting a police department over the weekend. I just wish that we could have had discussion, and I know we met with Mark. I don't know about everybody else's meetings, but I know one thing we talked about for sure was doing a sort of an implication wheel and pros and cons and so forth. So again, I appreciate him withdrawing those items. I wish we would have had this discussion before those would have been presented, but that's water over the dam. So just hopefully we can continue to discuss this.
Well, and like I said in the meeting today, at the committee, I'm human. I didn't get any type of handbook or training for this job. I have a hell of a lot of passion for my community and changing it and doing the right thing. So I am completely sorry that maybe I didn't take the proper steps, but I did take the steps.
Well, just so that everybody is informed, I didn't necessarily instruct, but I counseled the administration that they needed to approach the sheriff's department and the commissioners that this is going to be a possibility. And that's why they approached them before this came up at a council meeting, so that they weren't reading about it in the paper before they ever heard about it. Because at this point, it's just an idea. It's not a definite thing. So when he then approached, or other people approached the sheriff's department and the commissioners, that's how it got out through the community. And that was at my instruction or counsel, because I thought that needed to happen. Because the people at the sheriff's department need to understand that this isn't a done deal, and they don't need to be looking for jobs at this point. It's just something that we're thinking about. And I didn't think it was a good idea to wait till our council meeting for him to bring it up and ask that it be put on the agenda 2 weeks from then. And then the sheriff's department and the commissioners find out about it that way.
Thank you for that, Bob. But unfortunately, it was on the agenda for today.
Actually, it's not. It's asking you to put it on the agenda for today.
The agenda that was emailed out said that it was.
Only you can put things on the agenda. He can only ask that you put it on the agenda.
There's a
And I'm-
procedure for that.
Rule 6 will tell you how to do that. If we follow Rule 6 of our rules, committee rules, it's a simple step to do that. All right, since we're talking about an ordinance right now, before I go any further, 5120 about the dumpster, we wanted to remove that. I'll talk to the committee chair.
Yes, we need to remove that for further discussion. I think the way it reads, it would apply to businesses, churches, et cetera. And I just think we need to try to refine that, or maybe come up with something else that would help residents who have neighbors with dumpsters. I think if they're using it for renovations, then they need to come to the city and say, hey, Max, we have requested a dumpster. We're going to have it for 4 weeks for renovating our house. After that, it's going to be gone. But the concerns I'm getting from neighbors, is that the dumpster's there for trash, not just renovation reasons. So I just like to pull that off the agenda and put it out there for the discussion down the road.
Okay, and regular council will take a vote to that. Any objections? And regular council take a vote to remove that?
No,
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll do that in regular council. Okay, I have 6:12. Sherry, did you need, was that part of your 7 or 8 minutes? You need more?
No, I have some transfers, appropriations, and one other item to present for the next council meeting. Do you want me to go ahead now?
Yeah, well, let's get that out of the way because we have to hear from the service director.
Okay, we need to transfer, Dave K. Dry would like to transfer $5,000 from his water legal counsel line to water safety equipment training, $3,000 from his sewer legal counsel line to his sewer safety training. We need to transfer $1,000 from the general admin IT computer support to general admin property code PERS. That line's going to be short because we've had some seasonal workers this summer in property code that last year when we did the appropriations we weren't anticipating. And then also transfer $1,000 from property maintenance to general property code seasonal. The young man, seasonal worker, he's going to continue on for just a little while longer. So I have those transfers. Additional appropriations. I need to appropriate general fund to the health COVID-19 line, $6,876.32. The health department is being reimbursed for some of their hours for contact tracing and COVID response. So they've received that money in for the county health department. This way I can appropriate it and then I can charge the appropriate wages to that. We received our third round of COVID Local CARES Act money in the amount of $398,231.10. So I need to appropriate that to the appropriate 109 local CRF line item. So I'll have those additional appropriations and those transfers for you, and those can just be on the agenda for the 26th, and I'll get that for Cherry. Also, on the lines with the COVID money that we have received. We have been requested for a couple entities for some support. One of them, Lake Park District, I had reached out to her. They were looking for some help with additional supplies and so forth. With speaking to Lori, she has pulled her request from us, so we won't need to worry about that. But Kids America, to be able to help them, a nonprofit, with some additional cleaning supplies, PPE, and upgrading of their air supply system, similar to what we're doing here. We need to have if you're in agreement for it, to have a resolution or an ordinance authorizing us to do so, to be able to help this, the nonprofit agency of Kids America. I have an email in to Grants Ohio, who's, I have all kinds of information. However, I'm still not certain whether we can just do reimbursement to them after the goods and services are provided and they supply me with all their support documentation of paid invoices, etc., or if we need to go through the sub-granting process of this money. That I'm not quite certain on. Like I said, I have the email out to them. I'm waiting on that. But in the meantime, if you're in agreement to help them, probably looking at around $55,000 total. We need to go ahead and have an ordinance supporting, or a resolution just supporting that you're willing to share some of our COVID money with them, because quite frankly, this we've received $802,000 to date. And it has to be encumbered by November 20th. Any unspent money must be returned as of right now, I think by December 30th. So we're under a quick time frame, and the goods and services must be done by that same time frame. So if you have any questions, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. We have to have a health professional provide proper documentation of the benefits and upgrading the air purification systems, you know, why that is a vital reason for the upgrade of those systems for COVID.
Finance Committee Chair, any questions?
So Kids America can't qualify for a COVID relief money the same way we are.
No, nonprofits not. We can support them, but they do not get money directly. No.
So do we have that money available after doing our own HVAC?
Yes, we do.
Does that kind of open the door for other nonprofits then that might be coming to us
We
Yeah.
could, but
for that?
I mean, it's a possibility, but they have to, you know, really show that it's directly related with COVID and COVID response.
So do we have somebody in line that's going to like go ahead and take a look at Kids America and certify all that for us?
Yeah, we have information from them. We have the quotes. I think Mark has spoken with our health commissioner. I'll let him speak. They're going to be working on getting the documentation that it's, you know, medically, the healthcare provider is saying, yes, that needs to be done. And they're very specific, you know, in the webinars and stuff that I've watched, that it needs to be approved by a health care provider and state the reasons. And it is for upgrades. It is absolutely for the upgrade of the
Ionization system. And we're definitely, you know, as a city, we're definitely not helping anyone that we possibly can. We're really not set up to be flooded and inundated with emails and phone calls. So I suggest, it's been a long day. I suggest, I mean, we're not against helping anyone, but there's so many requirements and so many guidelines and so much, like why can't a nonprofit just get COVID money? They can't. So it's really comes from the feds to the state, to the counties, to the cities, and then it's up to us. So I'm not against helping anyone. We're just not to be inundated with, you know, an outreach program. You know, anyone who wants to send us an email, I mean, we can try to help as much as possible, but I can't I don't want to say there's not enough time in the day, but there's not enough day. So anyone you guys could think, honestly, that's kind of the way I want to make it. Any organizations you guys can think of or talk to, reach out to your council person, and maybe we'll work it in through that. It would be an easier avenue than to just open it up and say email us. So you guys agree with that? If you know of an organization that needs help, there's so many guidelines and so much, it's just tons of, I hate to say red tape, but there's a lot of, like what Sherry's talking about, Kids America. Do we sub-grant? Do they pay for it first? There's so many guidelines that you just get lost in a sea of guidelines. So we want to help, but we can't spend our whole day figuring out can help. That's what I'm trying to say.
And that's true. And there are a lot of hoops to jump through with it. And, you know, in the end, what's not spent will go back to the county, then the county refunds it back to the state. You know, quite honestly, I don't know if the state then sends it back to the Fed or if it'll get recirculated back around. I'm, you know, totally unclear on that. But the one thing we want to be absolutely certain that we do not, release money to even Kids America and not have our I's dotted and T's crossed, end up having a finding for recovery on our audit and having to pay that money back. That is absolutely what we do not want. So we have to be very, very careful. They have stressed over and over and over, this will be audited. I mean, right now, we've already created 2 funds for this tracking of this money. So, I mean, in the time that I've been here, I've probably created 2 funds in the last 2 years, and I've done 2 more in the last, 2 months. So they're being very, very particular about it. And so we just have to be very careful. So yeah, I don't think we want to open up the floodgates and just, every nonprofit that comes in, it has to be very specific.
Sherry, I have a question based on what you heard on your webinar the other day. So any entity that would come, say the school would come and ask for cleaning supplies, does each one of those have to have a council resolution to enable us to grant monies, or can we do that without council resolution?
They had, I wrote it down here, council approval for everything you are doing. And I have it underlined in my notes for everything, council approval for everything.
They put this on such a tight timeline that gets very difficult. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it also said we need to seek law director guidance.
Okay, so are we ready? Finance Committee, there is no question. Appropriation she's requested for the next meeting or transfers, no questions on those.
No, I'm okay with it.
Carry that on. You have more?
Are we okay with going ahead and preparing a resolution or ordinance, whichever one it needs to be, in supporting KA?
Ordinance chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then
All right.
I might get with you to draft the language on that.
Okay. That it? Max?
Thank you.
I'll go through these pretty quick. We do have 4820, which is to allow me to enter into an agreement with Engineering Associates for the potential Warsaw Waterline project. We did do a RFQ, probably 6 different engineering firms, proposals. Dave Kadry, Jared Grove, and Josh Young met as a team, each one done an individual scoring matrix on which engineering firm they thought could do the best job for the city of Coshocton. I appreciate your efforts on that. It's a kind of a long and tedious deal that the Engineering Association has put out, but we wanted to do it the right way. And that's how they arrived at Engineering Associates. Don't really need that in 3 readings tonight, but the sooner we get that on, the sooner we can move forward. Just so you guys know, we are doing a rate study across the whole county, and to see what impact Warsaw would have, what kind of water rates we could offer them. So that's that one. The 4920, that's where we said that the people along the way to West Lafayette, beginning in January of 2021, would have the ability or the opportunity to hook up to our city water, and they would get the same rate for 1 year as what the village of West Lafayette, as well as the residents of Coshocton, are paying, with no tap fees. After that year is up, they would get back to the normal established county outside city rates, which is 1.5 times our rates. So some incentive there to hook up now. I think that's all I have as far as explaining the ordinances. I did want everybody to know we're participating with the state, and I believe it's Ohio University, study of COVID trace in our effluent from the sewer plant. So it's I think we pull 3 samples a week. They're boxed up, they're shipped off to the lab, and the state's doing a study. I think we were one of 36 municipalities chosen. So they're trying to do, if it comes up in your wastewater, it should show that you're, having a rise in the number of cases. So we are participating in that study. As you know, paving started last week. I believe Browns Lane was completed today. Winding Drive was completed today. Hopefully we'll be out of the paving business towards the end of this week, early next week. So appreciate all the community having patience with us. And please, if you're listening to this and you're on a street that's being paved, please remove your car before the milling machine shows you. So I guess that's about all I have.
Max, I had a question on the ordinance 5020, the stop sign or speed sign. Is that 3 readings? Are you looking for ticket scores?
We could go with 3 readings on that one for sure. Or emergency. That way we can get the signs up and make that better out there. So
Your question 3 readings?
no, I say you can pass that in emergency if you'd like. 3 readings tonight.
Max, just to clarify on the West Lafayette waterline rate. So if I'm along the way and I tap in now, I'm paying the inside rate.
Correct.
Is that just for 1 year, or is that as long as I do it within a year, good at that rate forever?
If you do it between January 21 and January 22, January 1st, January 1st, right, you would get inside water rates for life.
Okay.
And they would reflect whatever, you and I are paying as city residents. And you also get a free tap. If you elect to not do that and say come February of 2022, you will pay $1,600 for a tap and 1.5 times for your water, just like everyone else in the county. So
makes sense. That way, you, like I said, give them an incentive to tap in now. So
correct.
All right.
Right. And once again, we invite people to contact our utilities office and make arrangements and get signed up to get put on. It's exciting for us to help people out with property values, with, just overall safe drinking water and not well water. Contact the utilities office and they'll get you on a list and get you all hooked up.
Yeah, I have 6:30. Any other questions?
I wanted to say to Max also, I did hear from some of the residents on Winding Drive, and they wanted me to pass along that the road looks fantastic and they really appreciate it.
Yeah, I drove out there this morning. I really did think Winding Drive turned out very nice. We also installed some new drainage out there, which should help those residents living at the lower end of Winding Drive where the water seems to accumulate. So
yeah, thank you. It looks wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Having what we've talked about today, is there still a need for executive session for council? Okay. I have 6:30. Any reports from our committee?
I have 2.
All right.
I would like to ask both the Infrastructure Committee and the Rules Committee, of all things, to get together with me and try to schedule a meeting. I will invite all 3 plus any interested parties within the next several days.
Okay. Anyone else? So what we have on the agenda tonight, are there any corrections? We'll be taking the ordinance that we set off, 5120, and we'll vote on that to take it off. We won't need to vote on the others. The ones that were not added, it says addition, but we don't need to vote on them. We'll just take those off. Anybody have anything further?
I just wanted to explain with respect to the West Lafayette water rate, Max, the way I drafted that is if the ownership of that property changes, they go to the new rates. They don't stay, that property doesn't stay with that inside water rate. Is that how you wanted it? You're on mute, Max.
Hey, Max, you're on mute.
Sorry, Bob. I did not read that in the, I didn't read what is on here. Say what you said. If I sell my property today, I would go to an outside rate. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying if you sign up for water next year, you
Yes.
get the inside water rate with no tap fees. But
Correct.
once you sell that property or the ownership of that property changes, it now goes to the new rate or the outside water rate.
Outside rate. That is correct.
Okay.
Anything else? Clerk, do you have anything?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. Well, we
Hi,
have,
Cherry.
pardon me?
Hi, Cherry.
Hi,
Okay,
Glenn.
we'll go ahead and adjourn if there's nothing further at 6:33. Come back at 7 p.m. for our regular council meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That looks good, Max. Okay, not that good.
Supper of champions.
Lovely and loud.
Kaylee, if you're on, that photo looks really good.
Well, thanks.
Hey, Glenn,
Oh, just like that, you're on. What a compliment we'll do.
Glenn, will you lead us in the pledge tonight?
Glenn, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Hey, Glenn, did you see my email back?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
I'll reread it, but yeah, I did.
Okay.
Mr. Biggers,
Yes, ma'am.
I left you a voicemail regarding signing tonight's ordinances and minutes. If you could text me or give me a call after the meeting, please.
Okay. You have them already made up?
Yes, sir. I am on vacation tomorrow, but if you want to come in the morning, I can get up early and run them up there, or I'll be back Thursday.
Okay, we'll run up and get them signed.
Tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll have them up there by 8.
Okay.
Aren't you all jealous that I got an official water can?
What's in it, Glenn? You seem pretty happy.
I'm always happy, but thanks for noticing. That looks like lemonade. Michelle, that looks like a hotel room.
It is. It is a hotel room.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm glad to not spend 5 nights every 2 weeks in a hotel room.
Yeah. Yeah. We are at a secluded resort in West Virginia. So it's not a lot of people and very beautiful. So that's nice when I can look out the windows. It's busy days, but good.
Good time of year too.
Yeah. Very pretty.
Happy for you.
Thank you.
The show been good?
Pardon?
Has the show been good?
So it's not a show. It's a like a performance group meeting with other independents. So it's done good stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All week?
Come home tomorrow night.
Oh, not bad.
Nope.
Michelle, you know the store's been closed all week, don't you?
Don't say that.
I wish I'd said that.
Jeff gave me a handful of diamonds. I'm like, where did these come?
He's just passing them out.
On the street, not even inside.
Oh, no.
I said trick or treat, and he filled my hand up full of huge diamonds. I'm like, yes.
Good to see you tonight, Sheriff.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
We aren't missing anybody, are we? Looks like we got about 1 minute.
My wall clock has got to be adjusted.
I have 7 p.m. Everybody ready? Good evening, everyone. Today's date is October the 13th, 2020. The time is 7 p.m. This is our regular council meeting. Welcome, council. And those who may be listening via Zoom, we welcome you also to our committee. Such a beautiful day to have a committee meeting, right? And a council meeting.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Good to see everyone. I'm going to ask that the clerk would please call the roll. Unmute. Call the roll. You're on mute.
Sorry. Gross.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Salmons.
Here.
Andrews.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Mishler.
Here.
Mr. Mishler will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Gross will give us the invocation. Will you stand, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Gross?
Father, again, we thank you for this time that you have given us to serve on council. Lord, I pray that there be clear heads and clear hearts tonight as we discuss and pass things that need to be done in the city or turn them down, whatever is on our heart. So, Lord, we just commit this time to you, and we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. Council should have received the minutes from September the 28th, 2020. Are there any questions or discussions, deletions, additions?
Make a motion, the minutes be accepted.
Mr. Johnson moved to, is there a second?
I'll second. Moore.
Mr. Moore, second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmons.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Thank you. We have on our agenda room for public input. Do we have any texts or emails, clerk?
Yes, sir.
All right. How many do we have?
We have 3.
Okay, would you like to read those?
Yes, sir. The first one's from Karen Casey. Why are we thinking about having all dumpsters fenced, gated, and locked? What issues are being caused by not having them fenced, gated, and locked?
Okay, that's a statement you wanted to make to council? Thank you for that statement, Karen.
Okay. The next one is from Russ Spearman regarding city police. Will a city police department make our community safer than it is now? Will it put us in a better fiscal position? Where will prisoners be detained since the county jail is already over capacity? What committee and community input has been received for this proposal? Why have a chief when there's not department to command at this time?
Mr. Mayor, you have a comment on that? Or someone from safety?
Yeah, I can comment all of those.
Okay.
The dumpster issue was not really an issue that I brought up. It was brought up by council, and I would appreciate if someone from council would address that situation first, and then I'll Mr. Fairman's question.
Mr. Mayor, we are going to take that off of the agenda tonight.
Okay, so you don't want to make any comment on that?
Take it off.
I did respond to Mrs. Casey's email also. She emailed me last night, and I emailed her with an explanation that the discussion hadn't been had yet, and we would pull the proposed ordinance off the agenda, that if we do come up with anything, it wouldn't apply to businesses, churches, but just to residential areas. Her concern was with rules on businesses and churches with dumpsters. So I did respond, and she responded back thanking me for my response.
Awesome. We appreciate that, Roger. Cherry, go ahead and start with Russ's first question. I'll address that.
Will a city police department make our community safer than it is now?
As far as safer, I mean, I don't know what areas that he would be talking. There's many different areas. I think I can promise that we'll be more accountable because we'll be doing that job ourselves. I don't have a ball, and I can't promise that we'll just become safer overnight by creating a police department. So to be safer, I can't promise to be more accountable, to have an officer in every ward of our city and a community policing model, and knowing that we have proper staffing and accountability, I can promise. So go ahead with Russ's next question, Cherry.
Will it put us in a better fiscal position?
I'm definitely not looking at creating more taxpayer dollars. I think that 2.1 million for a contract in 2021. I think if we can do it at that cost and be in control of our own destiny, I think it will put us in a better position. I don't think we'll save a bunch of money, but I do that once again, we will be able to get the things done that we want done. Go ahead with the third question, Cherry.
Where will prisoners be detained since the county jail is already over capacity?
The prisoners will be detained in the county jail at any other county in the state of Ohio. I definitely, in the coming weeks, I definitely will meet with state officials, even federal officials. Our county desperately needs a new jail. The problem becomes funding, and it would be, I think last I heard, $18 to $20 million to build a jail. And then once we build a new jail, the problem becomes funding to staff that said jail. So the problem becomes, what do people want? Do you want the problems and the situations fixed and spend money? Or do you want to sit and moan and complain and not pay any more money to get anything done? So that becomes the issue. What is important to you as a resident? If you want results, then you're probably going to have to help fund that. That's the hard decision that we battle here and everywhere else. Everyone wants something for free. Well, it's not going to happen. I personally will reach out to state and federal officials to try to make the jail happen. And I know that our county leaders and county sheriff have continued to push for the building of a new jail. And at some point, we may need the taxpayers' help on that. But if you want something done, we're going to need your help. And that's, that's the bottom line. That's not sugarcoating it. If you want something done and you want it done effectively, then you may have to pay a little more money. So I know I'll be quoted on that, and that'll be turned into something big, but I don't know what else people want their officials to tell them. That's just how it is.
Question 4, what committee and community input has been received for this proposal?
Well, it's a new proposal. So I asked the community, like Russ emailed us questions. It's questions@cityofcoshocton.com. Ask for everyone to become involved in their government instead of the use of your thumbs on social media. Could be used for something important like getting involved in your government. You own the government. This is your house, and these are your people that represent you. Reach out. cityofcoshocton.com. All the contacts are on there. The city council ward maps are on there. We're having a meeting right now, and you can be at home. You don't even have to get in your car to come to City Hall. We have made this so easy, a caveman could do it. So I invite everyone's input on getting results, on getting questions answered. We're not the good old boys club. We're not trying to hide anything from anyone. We're trying to make a difference in our community. And that's what I want people to know, just like Russ. And we want to answer their questions, and we want their involvement. And not only creating new departments, but we want their input on anything. And I invite the community to become involved. Is there a question 5, Cherry?
There is. Final question. Why have a chief when there is not the department to command at this time?
Okay, so the chief's position came up because to receive funding, Cliff had sent out a guide to exploring a police department. And the first thing in that guide is to create a chief position so they can work with city council and explore funding. And basically that's the need for that position. And like I spoke about in committee, we're not going to create that position if we don't have to, on the blessing of me working with the county. And that's the way it stands right now. But that's why you create that position, because once you create that position, that is basically your person, your point of contact to go out and get the ball rolling with creating that or exploring funding, or there's so many things that person needs to do. So that's why that position would be created. Is there 6? Okay.
I do have one more email, President Biggers.
One more?
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
This one is from Ken Smells, and since he sent it to the council I think it's more administration, but he sent it to our council forum. So we had a comment and telephone call from 2 different people today at the station asking about why new speed limit signs were put up on Cassingham Avenue before council voted on it. I'm not sure whether that is the case or not, but since it came from different places, it's up to you whether to address this in committee or council or just respond to my email.
I think I brought up last meeting, there's signs going, if you turn off of Cambridge Road by the water tower down Cascam Hollow, there's 2 signs that say 35 mile an hour.
You
If
did
you
say,
turn off of Otsego on the Cassingham Hollow, all the signs going up to Cambridge Road say 25 mile an hour. So who knows how long that's been that way? That could have been that way for the last 7 or 8 years. I don't know, but it is confusing. So at least with, if we pass the ordinance tonight, everybody will know it's going to be 35 mile an hour.
And I can weigh in on that.
Go ahead.
And it's Cassingham Hollow, not Cassingham Avenue that Ken was asking about. I did have the discussion with Kevin after Roger brought that up. I never noticed before that there's 2 separate speed limits going up and down the hill. If they did go out and change that to 35, that was based on a discussion that why is it one way going down, one way coming up. That may have happened last week while I was out of town. I'm not sure of it. So I don't have an answer for Ken. If it did happen, it happened just to make everything the same speed limit. So.
Anything further? Any other questions from the citizens? All right, I'd like to thank our citizens for asking questions as well as making comments, and that's what that's there for. So please feel free to do that, or whatever that might be, whatever question you might have. Appreciate that. Thank you. Anything further, Cliff?
Cliff, this is Glenn.
Yes.
I'd like to agree with you that all these online meetings, we very seldom had public input. I appreciate the 3 people that stepped up and at least put forth the effort.
That's what it's there for. That's why we.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. For the citizens.
And just so you guys know, Cliff, that during these meetings, my emails are always open to see if anybody emails a question in. So we're not missing any questions. It's always right here beside me and kept up. So we have had a couple, not too many since we've done the Zoom meeting. So.
All right. Well, hopefully they'll pick up and they'll start asking questions and get involved with their the community as well as their city. Thank you very much. Are there any standing committee reports? And we'll have the
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Cliff,
Yes.
yeah, Glenn. Only that I am going to call committee meetings for the Rules Committee and Infrastructure Committee. I'll copy it to the public, to the press, and anybody interested in, with an agenda, and anybody interested in participating is welcome to do so.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. Anything further? Any others? Then we'll have the mayor's report.
I just want to say I appreciate everyone's help and understanding as far as it comes to the exploration of a police department, and look forward to things to come. I definitely would rather be criticized for doing something than criticized for doing nothing. So I want everyone to know they can reach out, not only the council, the administration, but the public. Reach out, and you own the government. So it definitely, I think it's time to get involved in the process. Definitely, I think I said everything that was definitely on my mind during committee. Look forward to things to come in Coshocton, running water to Warsaw, the completion of the West Lafayette project, paving downtown. There's a lot of action going on, people fixing things. The other day, I actually viewed my platform when I ran, and I've touched, in 10 months during a pandemic, I've touched about every item that I said that I wanted to accomplish or complete. I can't say that it's completed, but I can say that we're getting things done. Some may agree in what we're getting done, and others may not agree with what we're getting done. And that's why I welcome anyone to become involved and engaged in their local government. You can be a keyboard warrior at questions@cityofcoshocton.com. Around town, you'll notice scarecrows. We have our own scarecrow here. I would love to, I just want to take a moment to thank the auditor's office, the tax office, my office, they got a water feature on our scarecrow. And I'm telling you, I said no to the water feature and it happened. So that's all Max. It was a great team building experience. Our scarecrow is made out of McQueen ductile, made locally here in Coshocton. And I invite everyone to, clean up your property, build a scarecrow, definitely become involved. I want a special thanks to Jandy Adams and her work at Clary Gardens on organizing Scarecrow Town. A lot of things, fall fun going on, McPeak's Mighty Maze. Definitely a lot of outdoor fun to be had in Coshocton. The trees are beautiful, so get out and enjoy the weather. We are on an average every day signing up a UTV for registration every single day, one a day at least. So that program is going well. So I want to invite people into Coshocton and the Coshocton County, and really just look forward to things yet to come. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Service Director's report.
Really nothing to add to what I said in committee, Cliff, other than thank the residents for their patience as we get through paving season. Should be completed by next week. And we'll have some nice streets. We didn't get quite as many as we had hoped just due to the COVID and some funding issues. But we got as we could with the money we had. I did mention that we are part of a study going on to track COVID through our wastewater effluent. We're kind of proud that our wastewater plant was chosen as one. I believe there's 36 in the state of Ohio that was chosen to participate in that study. It's for tracing to see if wastewater effluent can show COVID numbers going up or down. So we'll see how the results come out from that, and I'll share that with you guys when we get them. And we're moving forward on the 8th and 9th Street water lines. We should have that funding grant established sometime by the end of October, and then we'll start the engineering on that project, and it'll start next spring. So we're very happy to work with the commissioners and get that CBDG grant for critical infrastructure going to serve some areas that has inadequate fire protection. So, and I'm open for questions if anybody's got any.
Max, a little more specific, 8th and 9th Street where?
8th and 9th Street, basically from Short Locust, clear up to Grandview, make a U, and then come back down 9th Street.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the service director? Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Law director's report.
I have nothing tonight unless there are questions.
Are there any questions, law director? Thank you. Sheriff's report.
I have no report and questions for the sheriff. I did send Cherry a 2-week report. Hopefully she got that and got it on. If you did, and I'll make sure it happens. Is there any questions for the sheriff?
Sorry, Sheriff, I did receive that and forwarded it to council members, and I will make a note in the minutes.
Very good.
Okay, if there's nothing further for the sheriff, thank you very much, Sheriff.
Thank you.
The auditor's report.
Good evening. I had emailed out to you your September reports. So you have the September 30th statement of cash and the bank report. And then you have the detailed check report for the 9th and the then and nows for the 9th. For September 16th, the detailed check report and then and now. And for September 30th, again, the detailed check report and then and now. So if there's any questions, I can answer. If not, they just need to be approved in the minutes, please.
Any questions for the auditor?
I make a motion, we accept the reports as presented to us in our emails.
Moved by Ms. Selma, is there a second?
I'll second. This is Michelle.
Second by Ms. Turner. Anything further? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Get you?
Hello, Kaylee.
Andrews. Can you hear me?
now I can.
Okay, yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler,
Yes.
And those reports are accepted into the minutes. Property Code Inspector's report.
I have no report at this time. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions for the Property Code Inspector?
Jeff, what's the latest on the two properties next to the Circle K?
Well, the last I spoke with Bo Carter, he was hoping to get started this week on those properties. I don't know if he has or not. I'm not in town, so I'm not sure if he's started on those or not.
No sign of it this morning.
Okay, yeah, he had some other things he was finishing up, and as soon as he got those projects finished up, he was going to start on them, and he thought it'd be this week.
Also, I drove up Main Street the other day, frequently the last few weeks. But the property on Main Street near the restaurant
Yes,
has been greatly improved.
yes, 844 Main Street is well underway. He's done a nice job with it. It was a little slower process than we had hoped, but as he had told me he would get to it, he did, and he's making a big difference with it.
Yes, indeed.
Anything further? All right, thank you for that report. Clerk, I would ask, were there any other reports, emailed or sent in to you?
Yes, sir.
Would you read those to the record, please?
Yes, sir. The sheriff's report today, property code investigator, October the 6th, law director, October the 7th, mayor's, October the 5th, and income tax, September the 30th.
All right, so those are reports that are recorded, will be recorded to the minutes that are being received. Thank you.
Yes.
Now we'll get into some legislation on our agenda. What we need to do first of all is in committee, we agreed that 51-20 would be removed from the agenda for the first reading. So I'm going to entertain a motion that that be removed.
I'll make the motion. We remove 5120 from the agenda.
Moved.
Mishler second.
There's a second. Anything further? Discussion, questions? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler,
Yes.
5120 is removed from the agenda. Now we have a first reading. First reading is 48-20. I'd ask the clerk to read that, please.
an ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into an agreement with Engineering Associates for the Warsaw Water Line Project.
You've heard the first reading of 4820. Are there any questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Move to suspend. Is there a second?
Gross will second.
Second, there is a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
I would ask the clerk to give a second reading to 48-20.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into an agreement with Engineering Associates for the Warsaw Water Line Project.
Heard the second reading of 48-20. Any questions or discussion?
I make a
Mishler,
motion, we suspend the rules and give it a third reading.
Moved by Ms. Andrews to give it a third. Is there a second?
Mishler seconds.
Mr. Mitchell, a second. Anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
and Salmons,
Yes.
Sorry, Jackie. Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
You've
Point
heard
of order. I don't have the agenda in front of me because of technical difficulties. Is this a second reading or a third reading?
That's the third reading.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Second reading,
Should have been the
That's what I
third.
thought.
third.
You're getting ready to do a third reading.
Yes.
So we just gave a third reading. All right. Any questions or discussion? Clerk, call the roll. Or give us the third reading, please.
You read it, give it the third reading, and we've already called the roll on the second reading.
Yes, we have.
Okay, an ordinance.
Go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into an agreement with Engineering Associates for the Warsaw Waterline Project.
You've heard the third reading of 48-20. Are there any questions or discussion? Being there is none, the question is, shall you pass this ordinance? Clerk, please call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
48-20 is passed. That's the clerk to read the first reading of 49-20.
An ordinance establishing rates for new customers on the West Lafayette water line.
Heard the first reading of 49-20. Are there any questions or discussion?
Do we need to pass this, Max, or?
That can take its course.
Take its course?
Yes, sir.
49-20 will take its course. Moving to for the first reading of 50-20, or ask the clerk to read 50-20. First reading.
An ordinance amending ordinance 8-11 and to change the speed limit on Cassingham Hollow Drive in the city of Coshocton from 25 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour.
You've heard the first reading of 50-20. Are there any questions or discussion?
Yes, have we had any further impact, public impression from this?
No, I don't.
Then I move to suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Move to suspend. Is there a second?
I'll second. Michelle.
Michelle, second. Clerk, call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler,
Yes.
I would ask the clerk to give a second reading to 50-20.
an ordinance amending ordinance 8-11 and to change the speed limit on Cassingham Hollow Drive in the city of Coshocton from 25 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour.
You heard the second reading of 50-20. Any questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion. We suspend the rules and give 50-20 a third reading.
Move to suspend. Is there a second?
Johnson, second.
Johnson, second. Anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
That was the third reading, correct?
Yes.
Pardon me? Yes.
That was given permission for the third reading.
Ask the clerk to give a third reading.
An ordinance amending ordinance 8-11 and to change the speed limit on Cassingham Hollow Drive in the city of Coshocton from 25 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour.
Now I heard the third reading of 50-20. Are there any questions or discussion? Being none, the question is, shall you pass this ordinance? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
50-20 is adopted. Thank you. I ask the clerk to read first reading of 52 50-20.
Appropriations.
You've heard the first reading. Any questions or discussion?
I make a motion, we suspend the rules and give it a second reading.
Move to suspend. Is there a second?
I'll second, Kaylee.
Second. Anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmon.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
I'll ask the clerk to give a second reading of 52-20. 52-20.
Appropriations.
Heard the second reading of 52-20. Is there any question or discussion?
Make a motion to suspend the rules and give it a third reading.
Move to suspend. Is there a second?
Michelle.
I'll
will
second.
Sorry.
Got that, clerk?
I heard Moore first.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Are we clear?
Yes.
All right. Ask the clerk to give a third reading, 52-20.
Okay, I'm supposed to call the roll. Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmons.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Now I'd ask the clerk to give a third reading of 52-20.
Appropriations.
You've heard the third reading of 52-20. Are there any questions or discussion? Being none, the question is, shall you pass this ordinance? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmons.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yeah.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
52-20 is adopted. First reading, I'll ask the clerk to read 53-20.
Transfers.
Heard the first reading of 53-20. Are there any questions?
I make a motion, we suspend the rules and give it a second reading. Salmons.
Move to suspend. Is there a second?
Gross, second.
Mr. Gross, second. Anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmons.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
53-20, I'd ask the clerk to give a third reading. Second reading, I'm sorry.
We're looking for a motion.
Is there a
I'll
motion?
make a motion, we suspend the rules and give 53-20 a third reading.
Third reading. All right, is there a second?
Michelle will second.
A second for Michelle. Is there anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmons.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Sorry, I lost my place again. Is there a third reading? Motion to give a third reading?
This transfers.
You've heard the third reading of 53-20. 53-20, any questions or discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Salmons.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
You've heard third reading of 53-20. Are there any questions or discussion? Being none, the question is, shall you pass this ordinance? Clerk, call the roll.
We just passed it, President Biggers.
Am I
That was
behind
the
one?
third.
That was the third
Pardon?
reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm behind, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We don't have any second readings. We do have legislation for third reading. 42-20. I'd ask the clerk to read 42-20, third reading.
An ordinance approving the addition and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinances of the city of Coshocton by the Walter Drain Company.
You've heard the third reading. Are there any questions or discussion? Being none, the question is, should you pass this ordinance? Clerk call the roll.
Rose,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes,
4220 is adopted. Thank you. There are no resolutions. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Any communications from council? Any communications from the administration?
President Biggers, I did receive an email during the meeting from a resident on Winding Drive, Russ Furman, thanking the city for the paving on Winding Drive, said the paving looks great. So it did come through our official email. So
Already. Anything further from administration? Anything from the clerk?
No, sir.
We have nothing further. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. We adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn, this second.
A second, Johnson.
Johnson second. Anything further? Clerk call the roll.
Rose,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Salmons,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Mishler.
yes.
Clerk, what is the date for the next meeting? Full council?
12, 14, 1 second, I think the 26th, but let me get a calendar. Yes, sir, October the 26th.
All right, and that will be at 6 o'clock? Or do we want 5:30 again? 6?
6.
That will be at 6 o'clock on the 26th of October. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Cliff.
everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
Bye.